We're on.
Wow, bro. We're live?
We are live.
Oh, boy. All right. Thank you for joining us. Episode 7 of Let Your Words Count. I am Gary Gant. Sitting next to me is Ethan Merriweather.
Hello.
This podcast is about looking at words, how they are understood, how they are applied, trying to get to a better understanding of those words, trying to correct any misunderstandings, and get us all to use these words in beneficial ways and to help build up our understanding. Like, share, comment, and subscribe. Help the podcast algorithm, if you would. And today's word, or the word for this episode, is manipulation. Manipulation. Okay. I have a few points to make here in the definition, and then I'll hand it off to Ethan for the etymology, and then we'll go on to our discussion. Manipulation refers to the act of controlling, and which I should clarify here, I am reading from a ChatGPT definition and template that we have for the podcast here. So I don't know if this is not the Webster's definition, but this is the one we are looking at in ChatGPT. I don't see anything wrong with this one. Manipulation refers to the act of controlling or influencing someone or something in a skillful, often deceptive manner. Manipulation refers to the act of controlling or influencing someone or something in a skillful, often deceptive manner. Oh, kind of as we jump into this one, I will say this is some words kind of have, they're somewhat ambiguous. You can kind of have a positive or a negative spin on it. Manipulation, I think, and even what GPT template is saying, manipulation tends to take on a more negative connotation more often than positive. Some people, I'm sure, would try to spin or turn that into something positive, and there's maybe a way to do that. But even in that, there's some concerns with this word, right? So we'll get into it here shortly. So, Ethan, you want to get into the etymology of the word?
Oh, yeah. So the history and origins of the word comes from Latin manu, meaning by hand, and player, meaning to fill. Originally, manipulation referred to handling or controlling something physically, but over time it took on a negative connotation related to controlling people or controlling situations.
What are your thoughts on that?
Ooh. I think it has a high percentage of negativity.
I would agree.
And when you think about manipulation, oh man, this is a hard one.
This is a rough one.
This is a rough one because I think about the impacts of manipulation,
Sure.
right? And just like what you were talking about earlier about the Latin word by hand, right? And player mean to feel. And when you talk about, like, if you think about puppeteering or whatnot, that's kind of
Absolutely.
how we are able to, well, let me take a step back. Do I manipulate?
Right.
But it would, and like our last word, or the last episode was talking about intentions, right? And when I think about manipulation, I think about, okay, what is my intentions behind it? You know what I mean? Of manipulation. Controlling. This is a hard one, man.
I love it.
I can't even start. So
It's rough, bro.
when I think about controlling someone or a situation, bend an event, bend someone's psyche, control people to bend their will to do what I want to do is a short form of how I kind of define what manipulation is in that regard. If we talk about, if we are talking about manipulation from the standpoint of controlling people. Now, if you want to use from a less, like you said earlier, from a less harsh term, you can manipulate dough, and
Absolutely.
get it manipulated so you can put it in a pan and get it ready to be, put it in the stove and ready to make your bread and different things like that. Of course, right? You manipulate things. I manipulate paint before I put it on the wall. There's certain things you want to do, but when you're talking about and those controls are good.
Right.
That manipulation is good.
Right.
There's many things that you want to manipulate. Sometimes in a way you manipulate your children in a certain way.
I was just thinking about, yeah.
You know what I mean? And I'll let you talk about that further. But those are the soft sides of manipulation, because when you want to control that child until they're up to the age of accountability, right? I can understand you want to manipulate them just so they can understand society, life, and different things like that, because they're not educated enough. They're not aware. Their self-awareness isn't heightened yet.
Sure.
So you're going to have to control them in such a manner to protect them from being harmed.
Right.
That's kind of how I look from a short explanation of manipulation. But if I have an intention to deceive, to conjure up something, to coerce you, in a manner that's outside of your will, and even I'm gonna let you talk, man.
I want you to finish your thought.
No, it's a hard one, man. I mean, it's not a hard one. It's gathering the thoughts together so the audience can really understand what we're talking about, manipulation. Because you're trying to manipulate me. You know what I'm saying? I mean, that's kind of like, I don't know. Go ahead, bro. I can't explain.
So I think,
still thinking about it.
So, and again, I'm sure some people are like, why is it difficult? It's just a word. It's difficult because we try to have a very honest approach to these words, right? Yeah. We try to not let a word be assumed or labeled as positive or negative just as the word stands, right? So as you would do to a person, guilty until or innocent until proven guilty kind of thing, you're trying to, really seek out and dive into the word's meaning and application and not implicate it as being something, negative if it's only because the way it's used. So there is a very, very narrow window I can find for where manipulation could be a good thing. And it's in the vein of what you just described, right? As a parent now, so my my youngest son, as soon as he started walking, went over to our stove, grabbed the handle on the front of the oven door, pulled himself up, and started smacking the top of the stove top. Right now, luckily it wasn't on, and as a baby he wouldn't have understood why it wasn't a good idea to do that. So, as you said, as a parent, I want to influence him or manipulate him to. And again, another important element of what I'm seeing, like in this definition, that manipulation is using, just in the way it's defined here, sometimes using charm or guilt to get someone to do something they normally wouldn't do, right? So there's this very, very narrow window of I'm determining you're not able to make the right or safe decision for yourself. So I try to manipulate you or influence you to make a good decision for your well-being. That is a very, very narrow case that I can see where manipulation is salvageable and don't make it just, negative out of the gate. That's the very, very negative. If I'm influencing someone to do something that means they're going to be safe or it's going to be to their benefit, only because I feel this person may not be able to make that decision or determination on their own, So I try to help influence them. The caution, politicians use that same excuse for manipulating the population sometimes. There's people, and I shouldn't just say politicians, people in power will often say, and I've heard this from church leaders, government leaders, people in leadership positions, period, that I've heard say at different times that the people are not able or capable of making this particular decision on their own, right? So if it's real that I'm dealing with a child who can't make a decision for their own well-being by themselves, they don't have enough information, enough experience, and as a parent, I try to influence or manipulate that child to do something that's going to be for their own well-being, that's the narrow case where it's positive. Almost anything else I can think of is negative, because even if in a leadership position, I'm trying to influence or manipulate a people to do something that they normally wouldn't do, or that's my determination of what they should be doing. It's, even if I say it's for their well-being, then if it's for their well-being, why can't you just tell them and explain to them why doing this certain thing is in their best interest, and allow them by their own free will to go and make that decision? The need, someone thinking that there's a need to manipulate or influence, and you conclude that that person can't make the decision on their own, that the correctness of that determination, is that person really able to make the right decision for themselves or not? That the whole thing hinges on, the whole positive or negative aspect of it hinges on, is the manipulator correct in the assumption that the person being manipulated can't make the decision on their own to do the right thing or the safe thing for themselves? That to me is where the whole thing hinges on. Very, very narrow possibility of positivity. Everything else I could think of as negative, right?
I agree. I think you hit the nail right on the head concerning there was a certain thought while you were talking that I had, and
I'm sorry, I'll be going on, bro.
No, you're fine. No, that's fine.
Right.
I think that it was a very, very good I think about society, how many manipulators are in the world.
Bro.
How many, I'm gonna be honest with you. This podcast or this channel is 100% is not to manipulate. It's to, and maybe it is. I will say that. Let me take a step back. Maybe it is. But the manipulation is to make sure you are a better human being. And I think that...
And that goes for us too. As we're learning and looking at these things, we become better and make better decisions.
That's exactly. Because I'm accountable. I'm accountable to you. I'm accountable to this brother that's sitting next to me right here. You know what I mean? We're accountable towards one another.
Right.
And I think that if any manipulator aspect we should find within ourselves, any action, it should be love. Love should be the true manipulator in our actions, in our endeavors, and the things that we want to do. Make that thing be that essence that's within us that causes change.
The love is the intention behind it, right?
The love is the intention behind it.
The intention behind your actions. Yeah.
Thanks for the correction. Because I really believe that. And let me take that, and I take that and I'm using that with a grain of salt as well, because people can easily say, don't you know that I'm doing this because I love you?
Always, bro.
You know what I'm saying?
Always.
Because even with that saying, that's a tool. Or
just hope it's true. Let it be true.
Yeah, let it be true.
If you say it, let it be the truth, and it's positive. But the second there's any deceit in that statement, it's all wrong.
Man.
It's a very, very narrow ledge, right?
And that's kind of where I'm at with this word, and that's the reason why I'm with the hesitation, because it's very sensitive. Influences. How many influences are there? That there are so many influences in the world, and with those influences, I mean, the synonym, possibly one of the words, is manipulation, man. You know what I'm saying? Like really. I'm trying to get something. You have advertisers. You have advertisers. You have the news. the news are manipulating.
Wow.
You have narratives that are deployed daily, signals daily, wanting you to do something. You know what I'm saying? They're manipulating
Wow.
a thought process, a worldview, a mindset to get you to respond in such a way.
My bad.
You know? And I think we have to be careful. And it's okay to be patient enough when someone comes to you and has a gift, that has a gift or whatnot, and goes back to our last word, intentions. Like being careful. And it's not about being scared or using fear. The whole idea is, are you using fear as a manipulating tool in order to get what you want? That's what I remember. That's what I remember. Because when you talk about the politicians or whatnot,
Right.
I was thinking about is within the confines of manipulation.
Right.
Are you using fear as a soft tool? And do we know that no one is going to, and this once again, no one is going to come to you and say, "Hey, man, I'm trying to manipulate you right now."
Right.
It will always be a subtlety,
Yes.
a motivation, or something to deplete out of you so they can gain.
Wow.
That's kind of what I was thinking about.
Wow.
While you were talking, you know. Yeah, I'm still thinking about it a little bit. Yeah, manipulation is something, man. And I agree with you, that very small percentage where you can see positivity coming out of that manipulation, because
And it goes. I mean, what you just and I paused when you were saying something just now, because you said, like, even advertising and marketing. And you said, right, like, you said, okay, nobody's going to come to you and say, I'm trying to manipulate you, I'm trying to influence you. But there is a place. Now we are both business owners, right? And in the advertising of a business, you're trying to influence someone to buy your product, right? I mean, seriously, the business of a business is to make money.
It is what it is, right?
So, yeah, and when you do your advertising, you are trying to influence somebody to buy your product. So at the least, the only salvaging concept in that is, man, it'd be great if you have a product that in the selling of that product, or in a customer purchasing that product, you are desiring to give them something good in return, right? Give them a good quality product, give them a product that can maybe help them in some other kind of way, so that there's at least some kind of fairness in the exchange. But even as you said, like, we're doing this podcast, right? And in doing this podcast and in these topics that, even when we're talking, when we're off camera, yes, the intent is, we talked about intent again, right? The intent is to influence people, but not in a way that I'm going to receive some direct benefit. Do we want you all to watch the channel and spread the channel around and we get views? Okay, that'd be nice, but I'd be more satisfied with an influence of people to be considerate of other people.
Yes.
To be selfless, to make better decisions, to make this place better, and interacting with people be better. I wouldn't mind if we get some, get some views or whatever, but, because of that. But my bigger concern would be if it's an influence, that if we get one view, but that one person downloads the video and shares it to 1 million people, and we never see anything. If 1 million people are influenced, I'm happy with that. Influenced to do the right thing.
That's the key.
But we don't want to, thinking of the way law of one words, we don't want to infringe on your free will.
Yeah.
We have a desire to see this place be better, people be better to one another. So we would desire to influence others, like we try to influence and remind ourselves to be selfless and think about the well-being of others before we think about our own. So would we want to influence people in that? Yes, but we're going to tell you that, right? We're not trying to do it in a deceptive manner. We're not trying to do it against your will, but hoping that you see the inherent benefit and being mindful of the needs of other people, and not
Absolutely.
being a user or manipulator in a way that I'm going to try to get something out of you unfairly that only benefits me and not give anything back to you. That's not what this balance is about. We have a desire to influence for your well-being and for the well-being of everybody else that you come across. So we can state that. And again, if that intent is true and is good, and we're not saying it's because you can't make that. I don't want to manipulate you and force you to do it. You are
Right.
able. You're perfectly capable of making that decision. We would like to have some part to play, some influence in helping you, or help influence you rather, to see why that's a good thing to do. But you have to make that decision on your own, right?
Yeah.
So it's deep.
Yeah, it's really, really deep, man. I appreciate them words, man, because while you were talking, I was thinking about like, okay, Ethan, do you have any hidden motivations,
Right.
motives in you,
Right.
right, that you are unaware of, that you are possibly falling in a unknown realm?
Falling into being a manipulator. Is that what you're
Absolutely.
saying? Yeah.
And if that's the case, I think goes back to your intentions of being honest.
Right. Right.
Of being honest with yourself, being honest and open to acknowledge that you are heading down the path of becoming a manipulator. And that dude. Do you know how of a small of a percentage of people would actually do that?
I know, right?
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So, but I have to do that to myself.
Right.
Man. I have to do that to myself because I really believe God is taking me down a path, man.
For sure.
I really do. It's a painful path of self-discovery
Absolutely.
and exploration.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And hey, if you guys want to come with me on that journey, you're more than welcome.
Yeah, right. That's right.
So, I was just thinking about, and the reason why we chose this word, because we're building up all these words to get to a certain word, and that's love. Mm-hmm. But I don't know if we're ready to talk about love just yet, because this is the reason our first few episodes is talking about discipline. We talk about gossip. We talk about insecurities. It talks about intention, and conformity.
That's right.
It's very important for us to talk about these words because, and being honest, like, am I a manipulator?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
More than likely, you've manipulated in the past 24 hours. Right? I'm just being honest, and you don't even realize.
For sure.
I think it's in Psalms 19 where it talks about being aware of those sins that you're not even aware of. What is it called? I forgot. It's in Psalms 19. That's one of my favorites. I can't even think of it right now. Consumptuous. Is it? It's that. Hold on, I gotta find it, y'all. I'm sorry. I gotta find it real quick. I gotta find it. I'm sorry.
No, you good. You good, man.
I gotta find this. It's one of my favorites.
But yeah, it's about that awareness, though, right? Coming back to being aware and being honest. Like, okay, you are influencing somebody to do something. Do you have the right intent, and being mindful of it, not deceiving yourself to say, oh, well, I meant well. Did you?
Yeah. Did you
really mean well? Did you benefit from that?
Oh man.
And if that answer is yes, if you have the capability, if you are, if the end result of something that you've influenced somebody else to do benefits you, then yeah, that's kind of dirty. It's kind of underhanded. You know what I mean? Especially if it's all benefit to you and none to the person, right? So you find what you're looking for?
Yeah, it's Psalms 19, and it goes in the verse 11. Moreover, by them is your servant warned. In keeping them, there is great reward. It's talking about the words of God. Who can discern his errors? Declare me innocent from hidden faults. Keep back your servant also from presumptuous sins. let them not have dominion over me. Then I shall be blameless and innocent of great transgression. Let the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be acceptable in your sight, O Lord, my rock and my redeemer. When I think about that, being upfront with my thoughts,
Right.
and being able to clearly express and articulate that I'm not in alignment with the Creator,
Right. Right.
with God.
Right.
You know, it's very important for me to do that. And I think that when you talk about manipulation, we don't have that conversation enough. We don't really get to the grassroots of the harm that can occur the way we had this conversation today. You know what I'm saying? I know we talked about it like in one of our other podcasts or whatnot.
Sure.
We have. But I think we should probably revisit this again at a later date, because I'm wondering if we can solidify and probably come up with even more examples to make to solidify, you know, the importance of, and I think it's the key is to recognizing manipulation as soon as it happens. You know, you're trying to manipulate me. A lot of times people don't know that they're manipulated or deceived. Like manipulation, that's another one. You don't even know that you're deceived until you walk away. You don't even know that you've been manipulated until the results are clearly shown.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? So that's why I'm like, man, we got to talk about this a little bit more.
Yeah, this is a deep one. Deep one. I just want to add on to the verse that you were quoting, the presumptuous sins, right? The definition of the word presumptuous refers to a person who takes liberties or assumes things without permission, often overstepping boundaries or being overly forward. So presumptuous sins, right? Taking liberties and assuming things without permission, often overstepping boundaries or being overly forward. And again, manipulation and influencing can fall into that, right?
Absolutely.
You're overstepping your bounds.
100%.
You're infringing on someone else's free will to get them to do something that they may not have normally done on their own. Be careful. Make sure you have good intentions, and really, really make sure you have good intentions when you do that, because there is a lot of room for error in that, you know, in the actions of manipulation, right? So I don't know, man. It's like I said, we try to salvage it. We try to see how much, you know, if there is any good to pull out of it. It's a very, very narrow case in my mind. Yes. But, you know, let's just be aware of it, and let's, you know, always again be mindful of these things as we're going forward, right?
Yeah, we'll definitely revisit this one
For
again,
sure.
Especially,
For sure.
You know, if anybody want to chime in and leave some comments.
Yep.
Leave some comments. Like, share, you know.
Some other thoughts to hit on the next time we come back to this word.
Yeah, man, because I'm really, because remember, you're seeing this word from our worldview and our perspective,
right? But
you may have your own experiences and worldview or thought process concerning the word as well.
Absolutely.
You know, please share with us, man, because I think we can make the world a definitely better place when we're able to communicate and articulate our thoughts a little bit better.
Absolutely.
And you know, hey, we receive correction, we give correction. That's what it's all about, right?
That's another thing I want to make sure we say too, before we close out, right? I say this on my channel a lot. We reserve the right to be wrong.
Yes.
And to correct things in the future. And we say that this you know, been my dog for a long time. Mm-hmm. We talk a lot, and we're eternal students, always learning, right? And always learning means there's always going to be an opportunity for you to learn more, to know better, to improve on a mindset you might have today, and tomorrow you may not think the same way. So we're giving you real time live where our thoughts are. Doesn't mean that it's all correct. Doesn't mean that it's all 100% accurate, right? Whatever, right? It's just, you know, we're doing the best we can based on what we know and where we are right now. And a year from now, 2 years from now, we may come back with a different opinion on some of these things or with more insight to some of these things and be better. You know what I mean? So that's always the goal, is to be improving, to be better. And yeah, if we misstep somewhere here, if we state something wrong, if we have a wrong conclusion, yeah, if we, we can receive the correction if that's necessary and come back and, again, know our intent, right? And know our intent to do better and to help people be better. And if that means, again, we're wrong and something has to be corrected in that goal, we're going to come back and do that, without hesitation. I'm not so arrogant and prideful. Everything I say has to be right, has to be final. No, if I'm saying something wrong, I'm going to come back and correct it, especially if it's something that could be a benefit to somebody or, me being transparent and honest, for myself, right? Mm-hmm. So, yep. You any other closing thoughts, bro?
No, I'm good. I think I spoke enough.
It was good. It was good discussion though. Yeah. Good discussion on this one. So yep.
So everyone, once again, the word was manipulation. Hey, your assignment. Look in your heart.
Review.
Please review.
That's right.
All right, we're signing off. This is Let Your Words Count. My name is
share,
Ethan Merriweather.
comment, subscribe.
That's right. My name is Ethan Merriweather. This is Gary Gant.
All right. Y'all take care.